Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe Muro. And now, here's Zoe.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the New Thought Media Network. My name is Zoe Muro, and I am delighted and honored to be your host for Choice, Your Creative Superpower. Coming to you from Oakland, California, each Thursday, 12 noon Mountain Time, which is 11 a.m. Pacific Time, here where I am in California. So, what do we do here? We are here to explore how you can wield your superpower for the greatest good and co-create your most fulfilling life experience. If you're coming back, it's so good to have you here again. And if this is your first time, well, welcome. And I'm glad you tuned in. I am a religious science practitioner with the New Thought Media Network. I'm also a transformational coach. My ministry as a practitioner, my mission as a coach, are both to help people live their lives to the fullest. Today, in episode 52, we'll be exploring the relationship between choice and energy. Whether we're talking about the physical energy that's required for us to run or walk, carry, pull, or push, or we're considering that every particle of everything in our world requires energy to manifest in form. Energy is life. Now, those of you who are far better versed in physics than I am may feel I'm oversimplifying, but just roll with it because we're not going to be looking at this from a physics perspective at all, actually. In fact, we are going to be looking at 4 types of energy, none of which is a physics construct per se. Okay, so let me bring this up. Here we go. So the 4 types of energy that we are going to be talking about are physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So physical, does your physical health support what it is that you wish to do, what you need to do? Your emotional energy. Are you actually allowing your emotions to provide energy, or are they a drain on your energy? Your mental energy. Can you focus on what's important? Can you analyze? Can you understand? And spiritual. Are you in alignment with your purpose? So, just some brief ways to consider. Okay, now, I want to start with the physical side, simply because it's the one that most people consider when they say something like, oh man, I'm having a real low energy day, or I just don't have the energy to get out today. For a moment, let's take those on face value. Okay, you'll understand why I'm saying it that way a little bit later. So rather than getting into a huge discussion of how the human body works with energy, which, by the way, is absolutely fascinating, it's incredible, I want to start with a very simple concept. Let's think of the body as an engine. Okay, an engine needs fuel first and foremost, or it's not going to be doing anything. Now, we can choose to fuel our body in a way that provides the nutrients it needs. If we take into account our need for energy as dictated by the tasks we wish to or need to perform. So if you're going to be running a marathon, you're going to need a very different supply of energy than if you're going to be sitting down for an hour and a half reading a book. Sounds simple enough, right? But now we need to add into the mix a number of other factors. We need to provide those nutrients in a form and at a time in which our body can make the best use of them. So if our tasks for the day require a large amount of calories, eating one huge meal, that's just not going to cut it. That would be like if you say, okay, I want to go on a road trip. And I figured out I needed 100 gallons of fuel, all told, to get me to my destination and back. And then you try to pump 100 gallons into a 20-gallon tank. Ain't going to happen. Now, while we can presumably create a reasonable supply of energy by eating well and properly, we still need to ensure that we are maintaining our engine, if you will, so that it is functioning as designed. Now, as you undoubtedly know, the human body is susceptible to many, many different factors which can affect it positively or negatively. Choosing to maintain the best version of a healthy body as possible becomes key to our ability to produce and use energy. Now, I want you to understand that there is no one way that people can look at themselves and say, I'm healthy or I'm unhealthy. There are many different variations. And with that in mind, understand that I have not, nor will I mention weight or size, because they can be irrelevant in and of themselves. Also, I'm not looking at aesthetics. I'm looking at capacity, capability, being able to live the best physical life possible for you. Now, since I did mention aesthetics, let me state here most emphatically that unless there is a medical condition which precludes your eating certain foods or requires that you limit caloric intake, you are unlikely to maintain a weight loss, and you are unlikely to get all the nutrition you need, and you are unlikely to be truly healthy if you are denying yourself the things that you need. A simple rule of thumb is just this. Can I stay on this diet for the rest of my life and enjoy my well-being? I've often said the easiest way to think about dieting is to consider that diet is a noun, not a verb. Diet is how you eat. Using diet as a verb means that you're going into some sort of a restrictive sense. Now, there might be a good reason for you to do that, but it needs to be a good reason. So when you choose how you're going to maintain your physical energy, you have to consider what's really important in terms of your overall health. You know, when I was a personal trainer and a performance coach, what I wanted people to focus on wasn't the latest fad diet or the latest celebrity exercise routine, nor even some ideal look or shape. Instead, I asked them what they needed and wanted to be able to do to allow them to live their life most fully. We then took stock of their current abilities, considered what they need to improve or to develop, and then we had a road for success, a plan for success. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, hi, Shay. Good to see you. All right. So, improving physical energy is about understanding one's need for energy production, output, and conservation. Just as any vehicle requires downtime for maintenance, so too does a human being. You know, a huge part of physical energy is found in that downtime. Without it, well, scientists speak of a condition called exhaustion syndrome. We lay people tend to call it burnout. It seems odd, but the most highly productive people consistently plan on downtime to recharge and renew. A conscious choice. So, from a nutritional perspective, we might speak of the three macronutrients: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. I want you to consider rest to be a fourth macronutrient in essence, and it's equally important. Choose to recognize that as much as the body needs sustenance, so too does the brain itself. Shortchanging the brain means shortchanging every aspect of your physical life, and even beyond, which we'll get to in a moment. As much as physical energy is, of course, important, I want to move to emotional energy. Now, unfortunately, when we talk about emotional energy, it's not one of those, just grab a dictionary and you've got it. Yeah, because there's many different interpretations of emotional energy. And you might very well have one yourself. There are many, many books about energy, many books about emotional energy. But let me show you what I've found that I liked. Okay. Now, this isn't the definition, this is a perspective. Emotional energy. Let me hang on for a second. Let me get rid of this banner. There we go. Okay. Emotional energy refers to the intensity and quality of an individual's emotional state or experience. It encompasses the vitality, vigor, and power associated with emotions. It describes the emotional charge, passion, or motivation that arises from specific emotions. Okay. I think that's a pretty good way to look at what emotional energy is. Surprisingly, well, certainly was surprising to me, studies have shown that it is a misconception that the energy we require is primarily physical. Okay? That's a misconception. A wide range of energy experts, endocrinologists and nutritionists and sports medicine specialists, they actually found out that physical energy can supply at most 30% of one's total energy. That's not very much. So where does the remainder come from? The remaining 70% of the energy comes from emotional energy. Now, I will say that these scientists and researchers did not necessarily take into account spiritual energy, right? But let's go with this. The point being that as much as we might focus on the physical side of things, we have got to understand how much more there is in what goes on in terms of our thoughts, in terms of our feelings, in terms of our emotions. Probably not a big surprise to those of us who have been around New Thought for a while. Now, a leading researcher in the field of study regarding energy and emotions and such by the name of a psychotherapist by the name of Mira Kirschenbaum. She noted the following. Let me bring this up for you. Okay. She said, we need complete energy, an energetic mind and heart and soul in an energetic body. You're not just a body. Emotional energy is not an adrenaline-filled, run around like a nut kind of energy. It's an aliveness of the mind, a happiness of the heart, and a spirit filled with hope. She understood. So, what choices can you make to boost your emotional energy, considering how important it is? Well, start by being very, very honest with yourself, and if need be, with others. What are we going to be honest about? We're going to be honest about identifying what is draining your emotional energy, as well as understanding what provides a boost to your emotional energy. So let me bring up this next slide. I really love this. It's called the Emotional Energy Framework. And as you can see, it's talking about emotions that can bring about a greater sense of energy or lesser energy. And I want you to notice, as this remark down here states, that emotions can be positive or negative, right, to use that terminology. And they can either be a boost or a drain. Okay. So, for example, excitement, high energy boost, right? Well, excitement is also a high energy drain. If you've ever been excited about something and you've just like been running around getting everything ready, then you just find yourself exhausted, right? Or you get excited and it just really invigorates you. Okay. Notice that in the high energy side, we have things like love and passion, okay, happiness and amazement. Whereas on the high energy drain, right, we have things like rage, hysteria, grief, shock. All right. So there are different things that provide different amounts of emotional energy. There are things that drain emotional energy. Being able to understand this for yourself is absolutely key. Don't be surprised if a number of your energy drains turn out to be people in your life, which doesn't mean that you should become a hermit, but it does mean dealing with them with compassion, please. Choose to schedule time to unwind. Now, I said schedule time. I didn't say find time, all right? Schedule it and then plan around it. Choose to accept that sometimes you've just got to let go. You might have to let go of an activity. You might even have to let go of a relationship. Oh, I'm sorry, Shay, I hadn't seen this. Why are some of them starred? Let me go back to this. Okay. The reason that some of them are starred is that they're talking about how emotions can be positive or negative, and they can be either a boost or a drain. So That was true of amazement and excitement. That was, you'll see them in both places. Okay. Reflection can be a low energy boost. It can also be a low energy drain, right? So that's what that's all about. And I would suggest, folks, if you have an opportunity to do so afterwards, that you take a good look at this chart and redraw it for yourself. All right. Consider the things that you find to be high energy or median energy or low energy boosts, and on the opposite side, the drains. Hi, Gary. Drive safely. Drive safely. Good to have you here. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to take this out. Come back here. All right, so we said that there are definitely times that you need to let things go, right? So often we are focused on what we can add in. You know, what can I do to make things better? Well, sometimes what we need to do is less. Okay. So I want you to really spend some time to understand what increases your energy, what decreases your energy. Now, that brings me to mental energy. Now, we can describe mental energy as being a mood or a state where you feel productive, you feel motivated, and you're prepared to get things done. Okay? It's your ability to do cognitive work. So, in other words, any task that requires thinking. For example, mental energy can play a part in your ability to do so many things, right? To plan, to make decisions, literally to just pay attention, to absorb, to process, to evaluate details, to remember information, and even to, I don't like this term very much, but to manage your emotions. And by managing your emotions, what I really mean is allowing your emotions to play out without being a slave to them. So anger doesn't need to become rage, right? Being able to enjoy something doesn't mean that when that ends, everything just falls apart, right? So having that kind of rhythmic balance to your life from an emotional perspective makes a huge difference. Now, probably no surprise to recall that nourishing your body can have a tremendous impact on your mental energy. You know, years ago, before I understood this concept, I would often fall prey to low blood sugar. I kept on pushing and pushing without bothering to take time to eat. I remember being in a meeting one time when I was with a client. These are back in my days as a consultant. You know, I was one of those high-powered consultants, and when people brought you in, they expected results, right? So I was sitting in a meeting, and I heard someone ask, after I had expressed a very negative reaction to a proposal that they had made, said, "Wow, has he eaten lately?" It was such a common occurrence that people would often bring snacks with them to our meetings, just in case. That was a wake-up call for me, let me tell you. Likewise, choosing to change something about your environment can often break a downward spiral as well. Now, by your environment, I mean, I'm sitting here at a computer right now, all right? Just getting up to stand and stretch and allow your eyes to focus on something off in the distance Or even better, getting outside and letting the sun shine, provide some vitamin D. Listening to music, dancing, any of these things can bring an easing, a redirection, a respite. You know, how many times have you worked on a project and you have a deadline and you really want to get things done and you push and you push, and then there's this drop off of successful work? A perfect example of how your energy, your ability to focus can just drop off. And sometimes all it takes is just breaking that cycle. Now, we've explored stress on this show fairly recently, actually, and choosing to identify what your stressors are and understanding how they affect you emotionally can be invaluable. Lastly, I want to suggest that while these techniques are absolutely valuable and effective, there are times when they will not be sufficient to provide the relief that you want. If your emotional energy is drained over and over without resolution, you could head into depression. If you feel that you simply cannot see how to break that cycle, and you can feel that downward spiral, please get support. You're too precious not to. Take advantage of support groups, counseling, practitioners, crisis hotlines, any one of a number of different types of therapies, and there are quite a few that can deal with depression very, very well. If you need help finding help, feel free to email me. I've been more than happy to help you with that. Let me put up my email address while I'm thinking of it. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. zodimuro@gmail.com. And this now brings me to one of the most powerful forms of energy, spiritual energy. I like this description. Let me bring this up for you. And again, this is not one of those let's go to the dictionary kind of things. Spiritual energy is both an internal and an external force that can be harnessed for positive change. Both an internal and external force that can be harnessed for positive change. Whether you believe that spiritual energy is associated with the deity, which I personally do, or that it's a natural phenomenon of the universe, however it is that you view it, spiritual energy is powerful. Unlike other forms of energy, it isn't transitory, but it can be blocked. The choices we make around spiritual energy are less about bringing it about and more about being open to it, being accepting of it, recognizing that we, each of us, are part of it. So choosing to accept and explore one's spiritual nature is clearly a priority. Some people find that meditation or contemplation can bring them to a state of mind in which that flow of energy can be most readily accessed. Choosing to be in the moment, choosing to be mindful choosing to be aware, can allow that energy to flow freely in and through and as us. Sounds like a prayer, doesn't it? Because it is. We often refer to a spiritual practice, and believe me, it is indeed a practice. It's one that can provide immediate benefits, and it's one that can take an entire lifetime to explore. It's a practice we'll never actually perfect because we'll always continue to grow. There's no limit, no bounds to spiritual energy, only to our awareness, our acceptance, our ability to surrender to its grace and harmony. When we are in alignment with our purpose, our spiritual energy flows most freely. Not because it was held from us, not because we are meant to follow some divinely appointed plan that we have to guess at. And if we do it wrong, we're punished. And if we do it right, we're rewarded. No, that's not the way it is. It's not about destiny. All right. But it's our truth. Our truth. So I want to end today with this quote. This is from Robert Adams, an author and a teacher. It says, our universe is a sea of energy, free, clean energy. It's all out there waiting for us to set sail upon it. Well, folks, that's going to do it for today. I would love to hear what you think about choice and energy, or if you have any questions, because this is such a big topic. Please, as I said, feel free to email me at zodimuro@gmail.com. If there's something that you want to share with me in confidence, absolutely. I'll be more than happy to hold that. And if there are topics that you would like to see me explore in a future episode, I'd love to hear that. There are so many different things that affect how we make our choices and so many different ways that our choices affect our life. So if there's anything that you would like me to explore, by all means, let me know. As much as I love having you here with me on these Thursday mornings, or whenever and wherever it is for you, I want you to take a look at what else is going on. So I'll just mention a few things here. Today at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Finding the Joy in the Journey with the wonderfully joyful Reverend Gina Calvario-Krupka. 2 p.m. Mountain Time, there's the Vibrant Living Hour with the ever-engaging practitioner, Ken Ludwig. 4 p.m. Mountain Time, fairly new show. This is Rev Brock Ford's Spiritual Toolkit. And of course, at 8:15 p.m. Mountain Time, we have evening prayer. So whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it's prayer, meditation, information, discussion, good news, we've got it, and we have so much more. We provide time and talent to make this happen, but it takes treasure as well. So if you can go to ntmedia.org/donate, help us make this a world that works for everyone. I look forward to seeing you next week. I look forward to seeing you at prayer time. Until we meet again, I invite you to choose wisely. Choose well. Much love. Many, many blessings. Namaste.
Choice. Your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity, to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, Your Creative Superpower with Muro.